This Gamerspots brought to you by Retro Magazine. Subscribe now at readretro.com. Also brought to you by GameGavel.com, the auction site built by gamers for gamers. Hello everyone, I'm William Culver from the Retro Magazine, here to do another Gamerspots video with Wilder, Safe Point Games in Charlotte, North Carolina. What's the actual address of the store?
It's 8640 University City Boulevard here in Charlotte, North Carolina, 28213.
And what are your normal business hours?
We normally operate between 11 and 9 every day, except for Sunday 12 to 6.
What type of retro systems can you find here at yourself?
We pretty much carry everything all the way back from regular Nintendo all the way to the current generation. We even take some of the Xbox One and PS4 stuff. We don't really go back as far as Atari, but we specialize in mostly retros.
So basically you start at Nintendo, anything Nintendo on up
anything
up to
all the way up, yeah, including all the generations included in between here and that, Sega, Sony, PS1, 2, 3, everything.
I see you have some Sega Master System over
We do
there.
have some Master System games. That's part of the 8-bit era that we compare to regular Nintendo. We don't see too much Master System here in Charlotte, but there's definitely a good following.
Where do you mostly get your stocks? Is it mainly just trade-ins, or do you find bulk
I'd
lots?
say about 95% of everything in the store comes from people like locals here in Charlotte that traded in. When we started, we had a pretty minimalist inventory. It was really slim pickings for the first little while. But within a couple months, it was really surprising to see how much of a gold mine Charlotte is for all sorts of great retro stuff, which has been wonderful and very lucrative for us. The other, I'd say 5% we get in on trades through the internet, sales, stuff like that.
When did the store actually open? How long ago?
It was November in 2012. So we've only been open for maybe a little bit over a year.
We got a lot of stock for being open over a year.
Yeah, we started busting at the seams maybe about 6 months ago, and we've been doing everything we can with sales and any kind of deal we can to just move inventory out of the store just so we can have room for new stuff. Turning over inventory is never a bad thing.
So, what got you interested in opening up the game store?
I used to collect, and collecting gets really expensive to some degree. Once you get pretty far into it, it becomes real tough to find and to purchase some of these things. I was delivering pizza at the time. I didn't really have the salary to pay for a lot of this stuff. Once I realized what I was doing, I figured, I was obtaining a lot of my games on Craigslist, buying and flipping lots and stuff like that. And basically, from there, it just kind of avalanched from working from home to gaining more stock from my personal collection, which I then abandoned. And when I had the idea for the store, I put everything I had into it, and here we are today. It's basically a constantly revolving collection of mine that I can kind of play anything I want if I wanted to. It's really nice. But it's been a great thing for the community as well. We have a huge following on Facebook, which is great. We have tournaments once a week, and we always have quite a few people that show up for those. Always free to enter, and there's always store credit to win. It's a wonderful thing. People always make me friends and everything. It's great.
What kind of tournaments do you run? Do you run on classic consoles?
We do. Last night,
consoles and your arcade machines?
Yeah, last night, here's our tournament list for January. Last night we actually did Super Mario Kart for Super Nintendo, which was excellent. We probably had maybe 15 people show up for it. Next week we're doing Pokemon X and Y, something from the current generation. And then we've got Injustice and then Smash Melee. We always do Smash Brothers because it's probably our biggest tournament every month.
It's a great game.
Yeah. We switch it up between 64, Wii, and Project M, but Melee is definitely the biggest one. I think we one time had 84 people here in the store to play Smash Brothers Melee.
84?
Yeah.
84 people. Holy cow. Among some of the other stuff that you do, I noticed you doing some repro carts. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah, we make reproduction carts, and for those of you who don't know, I guess reproduction games are, they include fan-made games, homebrews, and titles that were released in Japan that did not come out in the United States. There's a lot of really good games that maybe some of you had played growing up, on emulators or something like that. But basically, for example, we had our Sega test cart. This is an example of a homebrew. And basically, this is just a cart that you can put into a Sega to test pretty much all the functions of it: the sound, the video, the certain processors, its region locking, and whether or not controllers are working which is a pretty useful tool for us. But then, of course, there are other titles like ones that came out in Japan, like BS Maps 1 and 2 Zelda. And it's basically a 16-bit remake of the first original Zelda from the 8-bit world. And they've kind of like rehashed a new map for it as well. And it came out on the BS system, which was a satellite system similar to Sega Channel. It was only available in Japan. And until recently, it wasn't playable, especially in physical form. So now we can pretty much do, if it's out there, we can make it. And there's a lot of great translated titles and fan-made ones to choose from now. Our inventory is growing. We probably offer close to 70 different titles. We're working on a catalog that has a small description for each one of the screenshots. You know, just a little bit about each game with like the labels and everything for it, since we do have a few that have label variants if people want to choose like between 1 or 2 different labels. But we do custom orders as well. If we don't have it in the store, we have people send us lots of requests, and we usually fulfill those as well, which is really nice.
So you actually will do mail order on these as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Right now, we sell them for about $37.99 in the store. We're having a shipment come in of new parts and actually a new way to make them, which is actually going to lower the cost a little bit. We think they're pretty affordable now, but we'll be lowering them to about $29.99. And some of the more expensive parts that require more parts will be closer to $45.
Okay. I also noticed that you're going to start selling the new Retro magazine.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. You know, I was telling them, you know, I think that magazines itself are kind of a thing of the past, you know, since everything is being digitalized and digital media is kind of up and coming. But at the same time, like we sell Nintendo Powers here in the store, and people come in all the time, thumb through them, and they love it. Basically, I feel the same thing from this. I mean, you're getting a lot of great info that's not included anywhere else. And it's cheap, which is great. You can get a subscription and, you know, really get in on this stuff. Right now, I think it's bi-monthly, like once every 2 months.
Yes, once every 2 months.
But there's all sorts of great info in here, and I can't wait to sell it to people because I think people really need to get in touch with this kind of stuff.
You've seen a good response to this magazine
Absolutely.
so far?
We just have this one that's been sitting in the store for the last week as we like, you know, kind of play around with the idea, and everyone like they see it, they're like, hey, let me see that, and they like look at it and they're like, oh man, like, you know, I don't remember seeing any of this stuff, or conversely, they will remember most of it, and you know, like I said, one of our favorite pages was the one that had pretty much like all the. I can't find it, but it was basically the one that had like all the useless peripherals, because we see a lot of those here in the store as well. Yeah, that's really cool. I really like that as well. So I'm very excited for this.
Being that you started up this business, do you have any tips for someone who wants to start their own game store or something? Some common advice?
Yeah, I would definitely say, you know, if amassing inventory is probably the hardest part of starting out. But assuming you find a way to do that, don't shy away from you know, turning down any type of game. Because when we first opened, we used to not take certain games on trade. Because I'm sure I was going to buy that, you know. But we were wrong. There's a customer for every game, and you know, it's definitely something to pay attention to. Also, treating your customers right is definitely something to pay attention to, because that keeps them coming back and kind of creates like a hotspot for the community for just retro gaming.
Do you do like a special request list, like someone's looking for a game, they can't find it, you'll take their name down?
Yeah, we actually have this, this is our wish list, and it's basically just handwritten, and it's just filled with requests that we've received and found for people, and you know, it's pages and pages of stuff. We have a pretty good working memory of what goes on in here, but we try our best to, you know, if we don't have it, we'll find it, and we'll give people a call.
So basically in the Charlotte area, you're the go-to place to find your retro needs.
I would think so, yeah. Yeah, there's a couple other stores here in the area, but we definitely get a bulk of all the good stuff, and you know, it just works out really well for us. I think, you know, with the combination of supplying knowledge without attitude and, you know, just having a great selection for people, it really kind of brings the masses.
I want to thank you for the interview. Let me visit your store.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Now let's take a look around this awesome store. you ever find yourself in Charlotte, North Carolina, come on by and check out Save Point Video Games. Say hi to Wilder and the gang. Thanks for watching.